Hello, I'm here at the Lebanon County Fire School. Right next to me today I have Ronnie Miller, Larry
Helmuth,
and I have Chuck Hillen. Chuck, I heard you were the fire marshal. How is it different from being a fire marshal from a fire chief?
Well, I've never been a fire chief, but one of the responsibilities of the fire marshal is to investigate any of the fires that happen within the county. Again, it's a volunteer position, and the fire chiefs have to request us for any investigations. If they don't feel it's needed, there's an investigation needed, then they don't call us in as far as the fire marshals go.
Now, how many years have you been in the fire service?
Well, it seems like it started out, I guess it's about 16, 17 years ago now that I got involved in the fire service. And then about 10 years ago is when I took over being the facilitator of the fire school.
Cool. Now, is the fire association, now is that the same thing as with the fire school? I mean, I know the fire school is ran by the fire association, but I know that there's a board of the fire association. So were you a part of that?
Well, when I joined the Firefighters Association, I was actually voted in as one of the vice presidents. We have 4 vice presidents and a president, and each position comes from a different sector within the county. You have the Northwest, Northeast, Southeast, Southwest, and then the city sector. And I came in as being a vice president of the city sector. You work your way up to be the president, and then the following year you're the president of the executive committee, and then you're out, if you want to say. I mean, obviously you're still part of the association, but all the fire companies in Lebanon County are made, or the association, as I should say, are made up of all the fire companies within Lebanon County. All right, so we're standing in front of the tower. It's a 4-story building that we use for multiple purposes. High-rise evolutions. We have a standpipe system inside that we can hook up an engine to the FDC connection, and then a firefighter can go to the 2nd floor, 3rd floor, or whatever, and hook up their high-rise pack and simulate fire conditions. We do not burn in this building per se. We can do some smoke evolutions if companies want, but it is not a burn building. We can also, a lot of people really use this thing more for is rope evolutions. We have pad eyes on each of the floors and also on the roof that they use for rappelling. Who's actually used this quite a bit last year, in fact, was the state police. The state police CERT team came down. They had called me and said, hey, can we use your fire school grounds? And they told me what they wanted to do, and it was obviously for rope training. And I said, absolutely. So they came down and they did a lot of rappelling off of this building. So that's the main purpose of the building. We do have, with the standpipe system, we do have a busted sprinkler head in there that firefighters can simulate how to wedge a sprinkler head that's been activated. But it's a multi-purpose building as well, just like a lot of the other buildings here.
And I'm here with Ron. Ron, take it away.
Okay, we're now at the SCBA building. We use that. It's a multi-functional building, and I'll go through some of the basics here. This is where we acclimate the guys and gals with working with self-contained breathing apparatus, getting comfortable with doing it, managing their air, and getting very proficient. In the very end of this building, there's a straight through here that you can see, and we can generate a large amount of smoke in here, and it's very tight spaces, and they can go through and execute a search process and sort of get acclimated to the equipment and their own comfort feeling when they're working in an emergency situation. So this is a very small part of the building, and we're just going to go back one section. This building here, this first floor here, and the second floor there is called the SCBA maze, self-contained breathing apparatus maze. What it does, if you come over and take a quick look through here, this has a bunch of partitions and divisions, and it has a course that people have to go through. So what we do with that, we teach a search pattern, either a right hand or a left hand search, and we have them concentrate on managing their air, not rapidly breathing it away so they rot air, but to learn how to work in a hostile environment with controlled conditions with your SCBA. And they do a search pattern, crawling, and do a right or left-hand search, and they make their way through, and if they follow the paths and follow the search patterns, they can come back out the same door. If they don't, we got to help them out and build their confidence. So that's the back end of this building. And then we're going to go back to the larger room back here. Here you can see, this is just outside of where they start, and they have an opportunity. They can do a low or high and learn to get up and get down and learn to get around some different obstacles. In this end of the building, and this is the multi-purpose part of this building, we have some sprinkler systems to provide sprinkler education to the students when they come in. This red thing that's here is called a post indicator valve, and that's typical for a sprinkler system. And that opens or closes the water going into a sprinkler system. And if we step inside, this is a functional sprinkler riser that you find in public buildings and in industry. And it's nothing more. This is a wet type system. The water comes in, goes through the trim package, and goes up and sprinklers the building. And it's a training mock-up to see a wet sprinkler system. Along with that, on this wall over here, we have a dry sprinkler system, and that's a mock-up. That's not functioning, but we use that to instruct the students on what a dry system is. And the other thing we have in here right now, because of the classroom and the storage, it's a little congested, but this is a forcible entry simulator where you can forcibly open doors and windows. And we can come around and a simulator and a door, and you use your forcible entry tools, and you breach the door and get in. You have a window on the side here, a double hung window. You can force the window, and it's an educational tool. That you can roll right outside and work on it and put it back in. So as you can see, this building has many uses. Behind this wall here, we have an air compressor that furnishes clean, fresh air for the students as they continue their work and training on the fairground.
Standing in front of the burn building, per se, okay? And 3 years ago, we actually dedicated the burn building, so it's been in use for 3 years. The burn building is used for live fire training. Down here on the first floor, or the first division, as we should say, there's 5 burn rooms. There's 4 smaller burn rooms, which are almost all identical. And then on the right-hand side, there's a garage area that we can burn in as well. We don't burn in there very often, but it is a room that we could burn in. On the left-hand side of the building, there's a set of stairs that goes up through the inside and around to the burn room in the very front. Also behind that, there's a room that we can use for roof ventilation training. And a firefighter can either go up on a ladder, a fire truck ladder, or a regular ground ladder to the roof and cut a ventilation hole, or basically for firefighter operations. So.
One more question I have to ask you is, when this is ran, I believe it's ran off of propane, right?
No, it's all run off of wood. We have Class A burns. We use the skids over here, and we use straw. We can use 3 skids and a bale of straw for any fire, and that's how we make fire in each of the burn rooms.
And when you run this burn building, is there a state certified instructor that has to be here when that happens?
Yes and no. It depends on the type of class that's being run. If it's a company level burn, then no. There won't be any state instructors per se here. It's just the companies themselves. And then we as the fire school have mandated that we have a facilitator on site during any live fire burn, And that's for either a state burn or even a local level burn, company level burn. And we have our own burn techs for a company level burn, and that way we know what we're doing inside. For a state burn where it's a state certified burn, then the state instructors will take care of everything inside. We still have a facilitator from the fire school that'll be on site, but everything is handled through the state instructors. And that's typically a 16-hour class. There is also a live fire burn at the end of the Essentials program as well.
This is the classroom that they are building. Larry, can you give us a little bit of information?
Well, this building was a storage facility for the fire education, which had housed the float and some other things. They had used it for a classroom from time to time. It was
Different times.
It was completely unfinished. There were large overhead doors at either end. It was a cement block wall. There was no ceiling. It was just rafters. There was no insulation. Very uncomfortable if it was hot or it was cold. And so we have been working on this project in the association at least a year. I've been looking at what it would cost to do. And as you can see, by this time, we've gotten the wall studded out, drywall up, there's insulation behind the wall. You'll get a chance to see the heating and the air conditioning later. Insulation up at the top. We're putting a drop ceiling in. And of course lighting, which is what all the wires are hanging here for. But it'll be a completely conditioned, well-lit room. At that end, there's a full length screen for the instructor's use. There'll be a data projector in the ceiling, and it will be a really great classroom for training of all kinds and meetings of all kinds for the association for the firefighters of Lebanon County.
Right, now, Chuck, my question to you and Ronnie is, when will classes start?
In here?
In here, yeah.
Well, once it gets done, we have an Essentials program going on right now that will be finishing up probably sometime in June. If the classroom gets done and we get it fully furnished before that time, and there's some classroom work to be done yet, we might hold a couple classes in here. But that's still up in the air depending on when this fully gets done and what is left to be done in the Essentials program as well. Now we do have some classes that are going to be running this fall, early fall, that will definitely use this. It'll definitely be done by that time, and we can definitely use it at that time.
And then would you get like certified instructors in here? Would it be like a
absolutely.
Essentials, or is it
No, it'll be we have an Essentials program going on now, but because of the number of students that we've had, we're only allowed to teach 30 students at a time in any Essentials program. That's per state guidelines. And we've had more than 30 sign up. So we've had to, if you want to say, kick some loose, and then they're coming back this fall to continue their training on. And that's where they'll be able to utilize this room.
And for Ronnie, can you explain more what the Essentials classes is and like what you need Essentials for a little bit?
Sure. As Chuck shared with you, the programs that we sponsor and operate here are all state certified programs. And the Essentials program is the very beginning for anyone who wants to pursue a firefighting volunteer effort or even a professional effort. So they have to go through modules 1, 2, 3, and 4. They have to do some hazardous materials training. They have to have first aid and CPR. And they got to do a lot of the basic things. And that's what we offer in the courses that Chuck was talking to you about. After that, a lot of courses run approximately 16 hours, and there's specialty courses that are coordinated through the Pennsylvania State Fire Academy. So the training you get here is relatively the same as the training you get at any other facility that teaches a state curriculum, and we do that. We do very few topics where we bring an instructor in as a speaker, but with this building, we should have the opportunity to do some more of that. And those would come probably as a slight cost to participants. Might be an 8-hour day or a 4-hour course. Have a pretty widely known speaker come statewide, and you can come in and do some different training. So those are the things we're trying to do to be a little more versatile.
That sounds like a good idea. I think that would really draw people in.
That's our goal.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Okay, well, I'm here with everybody. One question I have for you, Chuck, is, now I know earlier in the interview you said about the training-wise throughout, like, with everybody training here, but, like, can you explain, like, how frustrating it is if you wouldn't have this facility?
Well, it'd be very frustrating. You'd have to travel to either Harrisburg up to the Hack Community College, which, you know, on any given day could be anywhere between 45 minutes and an hour with traffic. And then, you know, paying for your gas and everything else, or going over to Lancaster County, which can be definitely just as long to go over there. Having training right here in our, if you want to say, backyard, is fundamental to the fire service in Lebanon County. One thing that we've always strived on was, let's keep the training here. Let's try to keep as much here as that we possibly can. There's going to be things that we can't train on here, but that's fine. We understand that, and the fire companies understand that. But keeping a nicely run fire school, I think, is instrumental to the fire service in the county. And it, not just the fire service, but it's instrumental to the residents of the county as well. I mean, this is not my fire school, Ron's fire school, or Larry's fire school. This is our fire school as Lebanon County residents. Every resident, I feel, owns part of this fire school. And you know, I think it's come a long way over the years with the new burn building, you know, going up here the other, you know, several years ago, 3 years ago, if you want to say, and some of the work, obviously, as we're doing with the classroom. 3 years ago, at the same time the burn building was being built, we had the tower sandblasted and painted. So there's a lot that's happened down here over the last, if you want to say, 3 to 5 years. And within the last 10 years, we got a lot of cooperation throughout the county, and not just fire companies, but even the prison. Lebanon County Prison mows our grass down here, and we thank them for that. And because of that, they're able to use the fire school grounds as well for their training. So it's open. It's here to be used. The best feeling that I get is to come down here on a Monday night and see this place filled with fire trucks and with people. And that's when I know that what we're doing on the fire school committee is working, when we see this place being utilized.
All right, thank you, Chuck. Larry, this question's for you. Now, in the interview that we had, past, present, without the cameras, you said that you see people like getting married and like going off and like forgetting about firefighting. Can you give us a little bit of information about that conversation? Like how
Well, recruiting of firefighters, volunteers for any organization is increasingly difficult. Fortunately, Lebanon County has a very strong history of recruiting volunteers as young adults. Of course, you must be 18 to get the certifications, the interior firefighting certifications. And what happens to young adults is that our young people, as they leave class, they go off to college, they get married, and they get busy. And so if we can involve them in any matter by training, it just makes the retention of those people so much easier. They get more involved with the fire service, and it's just really important, not only for their own safety and for the safety of the residents.
To grow in knowledge in the fire service, there's a plan put together. And as we discussed earlier, the module program for module 1, 2, 3, and 4 for essentials of firefighting is scratching the surface. And that's a lot of hours spent for the volunteer effort.
To keep them in the fire service and keep them as active volunteers, even when the life does get more busy for them.